the industry is in the flux that it is from people bitching and whining and complaining about their situation online.
Hmm.
And you got to think about it on a perspective like this. These kids are out there trying to spend money on you. You get online and start whining and bitching that you're not making money, that you don't have sales or anything. Now they're going to look at you like, are you a good investment? Are you not a good investment?
This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of January 2018, Mountain Glass is offering Golden Gate Glassworks tubing at 20% off. Just put in the coupon code Golden Gate, that's GOLDENGATE, all one word at checkout. And a little extra bonus sale they're having this month for all you Boro people out there. They're having their AccuGrind joints at 30% off. Just put in the coupon code AccuGrind, ACCUGRIND. So again, that's Golden Gate tubing at 20% off. Use the coupon code Golden Gate or also AccuGrind joints at 30% off. Just put in the coupon code AccuGrind, that's ACCUGRIND. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds out there, they have their double helix rod 15% off sale. Just put in the coupon code DHELIX, that's DHELIX at checkout. And for any questions, comments, or concerns, just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 183. This is your host, Jason Michael, and thank you so much for tuning in today, and happy New Year. It's 2018. I can't believe it already. This officially kicks off season 4 of the Wise Guy Radio Show. We got JD Maplesden on here, return comeback guest on our show, and super excited for this interview and conversation. It's been a year-ish since JD came on. He came back on in November of 2015. Episode 137 was his first interview, and that episode we covered his very origin stories and beginnings and where he was at the time, as well as talking about the documentary that he was working on or getting ready to start working on. And this round, I'm going to be asking him and talking about things to catch up on about the documentary, the film, as well as the potential success that he's had over it, where he's showed it at, and also where we can now find it on the interwebs, or if it's available on DVD. So I'm curious to find out about all that stuff. And this new little format that I'm doing, I'm going to be doing a new format with the show. If you heard the last episode, my little hello for the year. Basically what I'm doing right now is just a monologue here before the interview. And then we'll get JD on the show. We'll do our interview here separately. And then I'm going to be doing an outro chat, kind of some points in a sense I'm going to be pulling out of the episode and interview, just some things that really hit home for me that I'm going to share, but also just some things for you to think about as well. And I'm also would be curious too, from your feedback, like what was it about this particular interview, or from here on out other interviews that you find what value bombs were dropped in a sense that you caught on to hit home for you. So this year is going to be a little bit different, a lot more interaction, more communication on my end. Now that I've gotten all settled in at my new home and getting comfortable, and really just excited for where things are going to be going. One new thing I'm going to be doing this year too is what's going to be called the Wise Guy Radio Minute through iTunes. I'm not sure the other podcast catchers, but on iTunes alone, you can post up a podcast video, and I'm going to be doing just a quick minute video. Going to be doing tool reviews, color reviews, product, all kind of stuff, as well as just some insights into maybe some different stretches, studio techniques, setups, ventilation talk, You name it, I'm going to be talking about that, and it's going to be called the Wise Guy Radio Minute. So every once in a while, at least once a month, you will see a video pop up in your, if you have an iPhone, in your iTunes, and it'll say, instead of listen, I think it says watch on there. There's another podcast I listen to. It's called WDW Radio. If you're a big Disney fan like myself, it's an amazing podcast. And about once a month, he'll do like a snack or food review of something new, and it's a quick little thing that he does, which gave me the idea to do this as well in here. Because part of what I'm doing right now, we have this Sunday coming up is the first launch week of our online courses with the beta group. They've been amazing. Everything's been put on hold as I've been growing and building and filming and getting things done. So now we can actually get the classes rolling. And part of what I'm going to be doing is getting a lot of video work done for a new YouTube channel that's going to be launching here soon, which I'm pretty excited about. And it's going to be covering a lot of tips and tricks and techniques, studio setups, talking with other artists in person, just different things like that, just to kind of keep the show going, but in a different format as well. And I do enjoy video and editing and all that kind of stuff, and it's a ton of work. But I do have a good team around me now that is going to be helping with everything, including getting all of our newsletters on time. This year, I am going to be doing that. Just all kind of things in the works. I mean, so many things I can't even talk about it right now because a couple of things I don't want to spoil just quite yet. But I just know that this year is going to be a year of content. I'm going to be going back through old episodes also and redoing some of the old episodes content-wise, updating them to things that are going on now, as well as going back to doing just episodes with doctors and lawyers and my accountant and different areas of concern that we have when it comes to being a glass artist, whether you're a pipe maker or a bead maker or a furnace worker or whatever. I'm going to be also bringing on other artists and different areas and genres in a sense and categories of glass besides just pipe makers, because I really want to cover the gamut when it comes to being an overall well-rounded glass artist. I always preach on here about understanding and learning your medium, and that way you can take your medium and make whatever the hell it is you want to make. And I think it's so important that we do that. If you're just in the glass because you want to be a pipe maker, I have nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's totally fine by me. But my purpose and goal, I feel, for myself is to help share the knowledge in all aspects of this medium that we love so much, so you can then further your expertise in a sense and make other things besides just making pipes. Because I think it's just how I feel about it. So, it's kind of where things are. Got to be able to expand your horizons and not have all your eggs in one basket per se. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about. I could talk about it all right now, but I'm not going to because I don't want to just ramble like I tend to do at times. Something new also, not really new, but something I'm doing for myself this year, and which I also have been doing the last couple of years, but continuing this tradition for myself. I don't do a New Year's resolution. I find resolutions are typically things that we just don't follow through on completely. We may get hyped up and, you go to the gym for the first month or two of the year, then you start slowing it down. Next thing you know, you're putting weight back on, blah, blah, blah. So I've always done the last 3 years as a word for the year. Last year, my word was no, and it helped out a lot. I said a no to a lot of things. I cut a lot of fat out of my life, literally and metaphorically speaking. I left a lot of money on the table that I could have earned based on orders I received or people wanting certain things that I just said no to. Not only because of time, but also because of just where I'm kind of changing my perspective and the things I'm doing with my own work. But this year is consistency, and I've been trying to think about ways to really utilize this term for myself, and really it's going to be in all aspects of my life, from health to this show, to my art, to my relationships, to communication. Just anything and everything that I do in my life is going to be all about consistency. Those out there in the world that are the most successful are that because they are consistent with everything they do, whether it's getting up at the same time every day, their quality of their work, their leadership skills, all that shit. And these are the kind of things and areas of my life that I'm definitely going to be working on. So every week I'm going to be implementing something new into this consistency thing. And I thought about it at first, like I just want to do it all at one time. And when we do those kind of things, it ends up never really working out in the end. Take on too much, you get overwhelmed, or certain things fall through the cracks, etc. So every week I'm working on a new thing in my life that's going to be consistent. And starting next week, it's going to be getting up at 7 a.m. every morning. Eventually, I would like to get up at 6 a.m., but because of my work schedule, I'm usually not in bed, much less home, until about 10 o'clock. And then I'm asleep by 11 or midnight, something around there. So my sleep pattern is going to be my first number one thing I'm working on this year for consistency. And that'll lead to health and diet, which will then lead to more exercising like I have in the past. And those all will then lead into a better mental space, which will then lead into more productivity in the world around me, whether it's on the show, doing things outside the show, my job over at the Mouse House, like all kind of different areas in life. And that being said, I'm just curious, if you were to have a word for the year, what's your word going to be? I definitely want you to respond. I would love to hear it. I'm going to be posting this on my Instagram page. You can follow us on Instagram at wiseguy_radio. That's WYZGUY_radio. And also, you can follow my personal J. Michael Glass page. It's at JMICHAELGLASS. And, it's just kind of want to communicate with you, get some feedback, see what your word for the year is. And also, don't know if you're aware, but you can listen to this episode on wiseguymedia.com. And there's also a comment box underneath each episode when you listen to it that you can actually leave a comment, a review, start conversations. I think it's important that we continue the dialogue after the show. So stay tuned for that. And one other thing, too, is I'm going to be launching my mastermind groups here, just at least the process of getting people signed up for them. The first one starts off with my class that I have. It's going to be my kind of, as the beta test, they're going to be helping me with all kind of things in this little space that I'm in right now, including the mastermind groups. But that being said, I'm going to be doing groups of 5 at a time. It can be mixed male, female, all female. But the idea and the core of it will be glass artists. And it's going to be talking about everything and discussing everything from personal things in life to the business side of things to techniques and practicing things, routines, everything really that's involved that isn't just about making glass. The idea and the goal is through masterminds is to help you be a better you, and to also we all hold each other accountable when it comes down to following through with things, whether it's a certain order you want to make or a certain time you want to get up out of bed or a certain maybe change in your food or your whatever. There's things that we're going to be talking about through these groups that we're going to be completely confidential and private for one, and also I really want to help in a coaching aspect other people out there, including yourself, just become better people, be more well-rounded, be more successful. And by the whole concept of your circle of 5, if you remember the circle of 5 ideas, the basically yourself included is in the 5. So the other 4 people that are around you are your influencers and those that you tend to mimic and react to or act like in a sense, and they do the same thing from you and the other people that are in that circle of 5. So think about who's in your circle, and it doesn't have to even be physically. It could be through a podcast like this. If I'm in your circle of 5, I'm humbled, and that's awesome. I love that, and I hope I am as an influencer in a sense. But just think about that, because if you have negative people in your life that are in that circle, they're obviously going to bring you down. You're going to become negative yourself. As much as we want to be positive and try to help the negative people become positive, a lot of times people that are pessimistic in a sense that the glass is always half empty kind of thing, a lot of times they're impossible to help change. They got to do that on their own, and as much positivity as you can give them never really helps, and all it does is just drains you, the whole energy vampire kind of thought that they become. So think about that. And again, these mastermind groups are going to be based on that philosophy of the circle of 5, which is why I'm going to have 5 in the group, including myself. So it'll be 4 artists, including myself. I may have said 6 earlier, but it's actually going to be 5. So 4 people and myself, and I'll be in the middle of it all, kind of leading the groups. So I'll be talking about this more as we get going, looking at around March to get these things launched out, and I'll be sending out, I'll have a link out there in the newsletter. You can come in and sign up. I'm going to be doing a 15-minute phone call with you just to make sure that you are ready for something like this. And I'm not just going to bring anybody in. So there will be somewhat of a interview process for this whole mastermind group thing. But anyways, I'm talking enough here. This interview's going to be probably pretty long too. I know JD and I last time we talked for a while, and so that being said, sit back, relax, listen. If you're on the torch, you're driving, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a great day. And again, make sure you share this episode with your friends. Talk about it. Talk about the industry. Go on your social medias. Post up about this podcast. Get the word out there. And let everybody know that we have a pretty cool little podcast here for this industry as glass artists, no matter what industry in the glass you're in. And also there's iTunes, there's Stitcher, there's iHeartRadio. There's a ton of different podcast apps out there in streaming ways. We're going to be on, what's it called? Spotify. There we go. Yeah, Spotify now is hosting podcasts, which is pretty fucking awesome. So I'm gonna be getting on there pretty soon. I just gotta apply for this show on there, and hopefully they accept it. And also, if you'd like to support this show, also I have a Patreon page set up, and you can help support this show for as little as $1 a month. All the money that we will be earning or getting sponsored through from your help goes right back into the show. The show costs me about $100 a month to do. Mountain Glass is one of our main sponsors. They help out with that as well. And also, it's going to help me to upgrade equipment. It's going to help me get to the trade shows, help me get to artist studios, do personal one-on-one interviews, get footage, more content, all that good stuff. Again, because this isn't just free to do. And I want to be able to increase the show and just grow it and grow it and grow it and as much and as big as I can with the dreams that I have for the show. And it just sometimes takes a little bit extra money that I don't always have. So any help from you is definitely welcomed. Again, I'll have a link in the show notes for that Patreon page. And again, it's just for as little as $1 a month. Eventually, I'm going to be doing content for those who are doing $5 a month and more, including a special little pin we're going to have, and also, again, free video content on stuff, techniques and tips and tricks and all kind of good stuff. And eventually we'll have a price point that'll give you a discount into the online courses and all that good shit. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you can just go to Patreon. I believe it's patreon.com/wiseguy.radio. But I'll have the link in the show notes if you'd like to help us out. And it would be greatly appreciated. And those that are going to be our Patreon sponsors are going to be called our Wise Asses. So if you'd like to become a Wise Ass, if you already are a Wise Ass and you want to show the world that you're a Wise Ass, come on and become a Patreon member. We would definitely appreciate that. So, again, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm rambling. Until next time, we will talk to you soon. Enjoy episode 183 with JD Maplesden, and we'll talk to you next time. Love you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. What's up, JD? Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Jason.
Yeah, no problem, dude. It's been a little bit over a year since you've been on the show, and last time you were on, you were starting to kind of share your journey and your struggles and your stories and your big wins and all your intros and beginnings and stuff, which you can anybody listening to this can catch that up on previous. What we said, it was a 131.
137.
137. Yeah, it's a good thing you know it. I should have read that shit down.
I just looked at it.
Hell yeah. But today we're going to talk about where you've been the last year. And again, you know, as artists, we all have our struggles and our wins and everything in between that. And you've also done a lot of traveling, and you had a film that you made and helped you financially put a ton of money into and produced, and have been traveling promoting that and stuff. And I'm excited, man, to get you back on the show. I'm glad our timings worked out. And you're also the first episode for season 4, man. So I'm stoked on that, and happy fucking New Year to you, too.
Oh, man, happy New Year to you as well. Yeah, I'm super excited to be back here. This past year was a wild ride. Finishing up Vagabong was a lot of fun. There's so many things I didn't even anticipate that came up that you just have to kind of roll with the punches and deal with as they come up. So it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I think in the previous thing is I don't have any education outside of a GED. So all the filming, all the producing, all the editing, all of that stuff, I relied really heavily on other people who knew what they were doing, which ends up costing a little bit more than if you were doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. Editing is one of the craziest things I've ever been a part of and watched. It was so much fun. And one of the coolest parts about this was going through all the interviews that we got and listening to everybody's old stories. Like how they got into glass, like why they love glass, what makes their art so unique to them. So that was a whole lot of fun. It brought in like a whole new view for me, and like kind of re-sparked a kindle for love in certain avenues of the glass that I kind of had overlooked for many years. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, when I went back and I've watched it several times since we last spoke, and I'm the same way, bro. Like I mean, you go back to degenerate art, but just the different things that have come out for talking. There's variations of it out there, but when I saw your piece in particular, there was a different perspective I got to see from other artists. That wasn't just about like the party or whatever. It was about their soul and why the fuck is it that they're a glassblower. And for me, I resonated to a lot of it because I feel the same way. It's for me, it's not just shop talk. It's like something that I'm so passionate about that I'm gonna do till the day I die. Like, I mean, I bleed glass in a sense,
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
it's cool.
I'm definitely that kind of guy who's like, I can't see myself doing anything besides glass blowing. Like, if I couldn't blow glass for myself, then I would be getting a job blowing glass for someone else, because I just want to be around the heat. I just like the fire. I like the heat. I like the intensity of the studio. I love the camaraderie of the glass blowers. There's a whole lot of things about the whole industry that it's really helped me become the person that I am. So I just love it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different community than anywhere else you'll find. And that's kind of why I made the film. In 2015, I seen a lot of negativity going around. And same starting into 2016, I seen a lot of like people worrying about like how much this person was making and what this person was doing, and not really focusing on like why they were blowing glass, like what it was about this that made them do it, like what they were getting into. I was watching guys get into glass blowing because they're seeing the money that people are making off of it, so they want to make it. They're making, knockoffs of designs start happening, and people are starting to get butthurt over different things. And I wanted to make something that cut past all that shit and kind of reminded us, like, why do we do this? Like, what is it about the glass that makes you stand for 16 hours a day in front of your torch, sweating your ass off, ignoring your life, and put all your energy into this? So that was like my whole goal with Vagabong, was to really like show people like it's more than just making a pipe. There's actually like a whole culture and a whole lifestyle that goes with it. And a lot of the stuff that we've done through glass pipes, it's pretty amazing. I just read today, the Armadillo made a post. We've raised $210,000 in the past 5 years for Meals on Wheels.
Fuck yeah.
That's huge. As a group, the glass pipe makers are the largest contributors to the Central Texas Meals on Wheels. We're talking about, there's multiple billion-dollar corporations in Texas, and the glass pipe community donate more to help feed the hungry than any of them.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And I'm glad you brought that up too, about the whole, because it's fucking oil country out there, and there's a ton of money out there. And the fact that these quote unquote degenerate glass artists out there are philanthropists and doing such a great thing out there compared to these other corporations that are kind of maybe looking past it.
Yeah, we're it's really sparking people's interest in the community. Like, oh, what are these kids doing? Like, what's going on? And then you go straight to Michigan Project, and what Michigan Project is doing is amazing. Allison Keys up there, and J. Ross and Drew and all those guys.
Yeah,
they throw the best show. Like, it is a huge party with 60 glass blowers in one room blowing glass. They had big stage out there with live music this year. They had so many painters, and it was just so much fun. I've gone the last 2 years, and I'm definitely going again this year. It was just a lot. It's just so much fun to see everyone getting together. You get to see the kids walking through, watching the glass blowers, everything we make. We raised that money. I think this year we donated $100,000 to Art Roads Detroit, which brings art back to elementary school for kids.
Yeah,
so it's like, there's not a better reason to sit down for 3 days and work your ass off and like donate all your work than to have kids do art.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it's so amazing. That's one I'm going to be bringing them on this year on the show to talk about it this year. to help get the word out even more so, because it's amazing. I talk to people that don't know about it, and I'm like, dude, here's their Instagram page. Like, go see what they're doing. Look at these auctions, and
Oh,
it's
it's
just
sweet
it's
because
amazing.
I get a lot of it when I'm traveling, and people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I blow glass." "Oh, I'm on my way to this trade show. I just did this show." And so I get to show people these a lot. And when we're sitting down when I'm sitting on a plane talking to some random person's grandma about Armadillo or Detroit or the Michigan project, they instantly change their point of view about like, "Oh, you're a glass pipe maker?" And be like, "Yeah, I just came back from this show, and this is what we raised money for this charity." They then no longer look at you like a degenerate. They now
Mhm.
look at you like, "Oh, I haven't done anything like that for the community." They then take into perspective about like how much that really does impact a community. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it is, and I think the core of our whole group of family of glass artists, I mean, it's kind of been spawned from like the hippie generation who actually gave a fuck about what was going on in the world and helping people out and being activists and protesting and stuff. And I heard a quote today on another show I was listening to, and I don't know exactly what it was, but to paraphrase it, it was basically like a philanthropist is an activist who can afford to give back. Basically, it's like you can be an activist or a protester all day long, but if you're not out there trying to be successful financially wise, so you can be a philanthropist, you can actually take your action based on what you're trying to get out there and your perspective. And it seems like our
No,
our
totally.
our industry is doing that. I mean, it's just the philanthropy going on. I mean, there's so many of us out there that are doing that alone. I mean,
There's
shit,
a really cool. There's a really cool. Um, when I was doing when I was when we were filming Vagabong, I got to sit down with Banjo for a minute while he was working on the divvy for the glass alchemy class that him and Joe were teaching. And I was mic'd up and I was talking to Banjo. He threw out this analogy to me that was just so amazing. And I have the interview still on audio, and we'll probably release it one day, but it's just there's so much background noise, it's really hard to hear it. But what he talked about is what the glass community represents kind of to him and how he saw it. And what he said is he saw it as like in the back when they started prohibition of marijuana, one of the things is it was the intermixing of cultures was one of the big reasons why they outlawed it. So they didn't like to see the dark skin with the light skin. And it came from the jazz. So the jazz musicians are smoking the doobies, sharing it with the impressionable white kids. And that's one of multiple reasons that led into prohibition. Well, from there, we then get into like the summer of love, like through music. You got the jazz music, and all the musicians are always smoking weed, doing this and that. And then from there, it turns into the 60s, and then you get like this summer of love, like all these people are smoking weed, the hippies come out of it. And through that, the Grateful Dead were born. And from the Grateful Dead, when the Grateful Dead was like this movement of music and love and all this great energy, and then as soon as it started getting into dark times, there's one guy that was a beacon of light named Bob Snodgrass that harnessed all the love and energy from the 60s, the 70s, and what the Grateful Dead was doing, and brought it into the glass, and then brought that into the glass community. And Banjo was saying to him that that's what we're doing and what we're representing is that love from the hippies. It's just continuing on through different dimensions. And he was saying that what we're doing right now will definitely help heal the world.
Hell yeah.
And then when you get into doing these charity events, it really resonates really heavily. So
That's amazing. And it's true.
yeah,
That's so true.
it's definitely like
It's
an
giving me
interview
goosebumps.
that I need to get up online so people can see it. And the way he says it and how articulate he is about it, it's really awesome. And it makes you just feel it a lot. And you're like, you can understand what he's talking about, where it's like the music's what's bridged cultures for years.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to speak the same language. You can dance together. You can sit down, two people who don't speak the same language can sit down and play an instrument, and they can communicate.
Yeah.
And we can kind of do the same thing with our glass.
Yeah.
We do it all the time with the Japanese guys. We've been doing it with some guys from Spain, different places. So it's it's something that is bridging communities, is doing stuff, and it's really an awesome thing to be a part of. And that's kind of what I wanted to show in Vagabond, was this multifaceted aspect of the industry.
Heck yeah, and it's beautifully shot too. Like this, in terms of a documentary footage wise, it looks really really nice.
Yeah, the director of cinematography, Galen Oates, is fucking awesome. He's such a nice guy, really good at his job. We actually found him because he was shooting promos for different festivals that my assistant wanted to go to, and she's like, "I love the way this guy shoots." And then it was like, "Oh, he's a friend of a friend. Cool, we can get him as our fucking guy."
Hell yeah.
And then we had another friend of mine, Dylan, that came on, and he's awesome. He actually, at the time, was working for Warner Brothers Production doing cinematography. So he was on his 6-week union vacation, and it happened to fall right during Vagabond, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll come."
Hell
So it worked out awesomely. And then we had Pyroscopic Connor. Connor's huge. He's been doing huge things in this scene for the past few years with all his documentation, photography of, the Philly scene. He fucking documents the shit out of the Philly scene because he lives in Philly.
Right.
Friends with Slinger and everybody. But just seeing all the different little movies he's been doing and, just out there documenting it. It's really important for us to document what's happening in this movement right now, because if we don't document it with our own words, we're going to get other people using their words speaking for us.
Yeah, it's well said. Yeah, man. So that being said, too, like, kind of to back up on this whole thing, like, at what point in time in 2015 or before that even, like, sparked this little light bulb moment that you had this this epiphany in a sense to want to really do this documentary?
It's hard to say. I don't like talking negative about other people or like the work that they do, so it's hard for me to talk about what really sparked the interest without sounding like I'm talking trash on it. But there was a film that came out called Flameworked, and it was done by a guy who knows a little bit about glass from some friends. He had just graduated college or something. He had a camera. And he put a shout out online telling people that he was going to make a movie, and anyone who contacted him could get into it. So he made this, I think it's like an hour-long documentary. It's on Vimeo. And he put it out, and Slinger's the only person in the whole movie that I recognized. And I sat down and I watched this, and the footage was nice. The shots that they got were great. The story that he was trying to portray, I wasn't able to follow with because I kept getting lost in the conversations that the people were having, because it was like he did interviews with guys who were just he did interviews with your average pipe maker. Mm-hmm. And they're good interviews, and they're good points of views for like what they're talking about. But it's not when I watched it, all I saw was guys talking about people's different price points, why they weren't a big name, or some guy who's like blows glass to subsidize his income because he's on a fixed income. Like it was kind of crazy to me. And it was like this part of, it's like, we know this part of the industry exists. Fuck, I used to be there. Mm-hmm. But when I'm sitting there watching this movie that's going to be somebody's very first impression of an industry that I love and I care and I fucking want to show on its best foot, I was I watched it and I was like, fuck, man, if somebody doesn't step up and do something good and like do another Degenerate, but not do another Degenerate, but make something that's going to get out there like Degenerate,
Right.
we're going to have a inflood of people coming into this industry that are going to be making a film without knowing the roots of the industry, without knowing more than just how to make a spoon, or because it's the production side of it is important, and the work that those guys do is important. um and like I said, I'm not trying to talk down on anybody or discourage anybody from putting hard work out there to make something, because it's hard to make something like that and put it out there and listen to people critique it. And that's why I say, like, I don't want to be sitting here talking trash about another person's work, because he did put hard work into it. He did make something that he thought was great. But when I saw it, it didn't resonate with me. And I wanted to make something that would resonate with myself and across the board. Because I look at it like this. As a glass pipe maker, we don't have a whole lot of things like stand up and be proud about. We have one movie to show our family, Degenerate Art. I guess we have two. We have Flame Work also. If you want to show your family that, you can. But you got Degenerate Art. That's the fucking thing you get to show your family and be like, look, I'm a part of this. We don't that's why documentation is so important, is we need things to show people why, to validate what we're doing, not only with ourselves, but with the community around us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, I'm in a neighborhood, like in an arts district here in Portland, Oregon. And I'm just the normal kid who walks in, and I keep my head down. Most people, I just look right past me. But the guys in the community that know me, they're like, oh shit, he's the one who just made that movie and had the film crew out here. Oh, he's the one who's always traveling and doing this. And it puts a lot better look on what we're doing in the industry than being like the disgruntled guy who always has oxygen tanks blowing off in his garage and is fighting with his neighbors and this and that. So
yeah, totally. But it's also, for years and years and years, we were kind of packaged in with like the tattoo artists. It's like we were this shady, drug-filled community of a bunch of degenerates that didn't know up from down. And it's actually quite the opposite. I mean, I think the majority of the artists in our community are actually pretty educated, whether you have your GED or your fucking master's, but there's still some kind of, I don't know, it's a different type of person in our industry. Attitude, personality, you know what I mean?
So one of the coolest things from filming Vagabong that I learned was, so I have Galen and my buddy Dylan, who in between the two of them have probably done like 3,000 to 4,000 interviews in their careers. And at the end of the first week, after interviewing like 9 different artists, 10 different people, Galen pulled me aside and told me, he's like, I am so impressed with your guys' industry. He's like, this shit is fucking mind blowing. He's like, we're at the DFO. And he's like, man, he's like, we can use this competition as an example. He's like, it's your best friend. It's like best friends competing against each other. That, it's like your best friend is your competitor, but your competitor is your best friend, which is like, you don't see that in a lot of industries or anywhere. So he was like blown away by it, but he was like, man, he's like, you guys are so articulate. He's like, when you get a glassblower talking, there's no ums and uns and likes and this. And that comes from when you have to think about what you're trying to say, and when you can get 20 people in one space, and every interview you do with them, they know exactly what they're going to say to you. They know exactly what they want and what they're trying to convey. And it's because we've gone through this bullshit for years of trying to explain to the person next to us on the plane,
what we do,
or to our girlfriend's dad, what do we do? That we became really articulate in explaining to people, what do we do?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you represent? And so that was coming into doing Vagabond. That was my biggest thing that I wanted to do, was, represent this industry with the really represent it with the way it deserves to be represented, because some of the guys went to college for years, and then like Gateson, dude, he's went to school for years, architect, stopped being an architect just to blow glass.
Yeah.
Like he could have had a whole career doing other stuff, but he was like, the glass is what he loves.
Well, I think
And
I agree. Go on. I'm sorry.
and there's so much of that. It's like, a lot of us, when we got into doing this, there wasn't even a glimmer of hope about making real money, like being able to like one day buy a house, that type of stuff. The goal was to be able to make a badass goblet that your boy could stare and drool at. You might be able to sell it for $500, but there really wasn't that allure of the money in it. And it was a lot about just like, how can I make something cooler than the last thing I made? How can I make something cooler than that piece over there that I just saw that I thought was pretty sweet, but I know I can make it cooler and change it and tweak it so it's not knocking this guy off, but it's like, it's kind of like showing like, look, it's like the next generation. Everything was evolving. Everything was constantly changing. And that's what really like I fell in love with, like just that ability to be able to like do whatever and not, it was like I had a full-time job to learn to blow glass. I had to work my job to pay my bills, pay my child support. And then when all that shit was done, I could walk into the studio and blow glass.
Mm-hmm.
Now that there's money into it, I find a lot of people kind of aren't seeing that. They're looking at like, what this person make this year, what that person make last year. Oh, they're selling these pieces for this much money. And it's like, why are you worrying about what those people are selling their pieces for? What are they doing? What are you doing in this industry? Like, what are you really doing this for?
Yeah,
like,
dude. I did a whole episode on that. That was this exact topic. Like, are you in this for the money? Or are you in it because it's a rock star thing for you, ego wise? Is it because you're an artist and you want to make a living doing what you're doing? But fucking own it. If you're making a pipe maker because you think it's cool, fucking awesome. But own up to that shit. Say, hey, I'm doing this because I think it's fucking cool. Or I'm doing this because it fulfills all these other needs and wants and desires that I have in my life. Like myself personally. I have so many areas of my life in terms of careers that I've wanted to get into, from design and architecture, even being a doctor. Like my dad, growing up, my dad was always like, you have the hands of a surgeon. And here I am doing surgery on glass half the time. You know what I mean? So it's like for myself, and I see that. But fucking own up to it, If you're doing this because your guy next to you is making $100,000 a year and you want to make $100,000 a year, fucking own up to it. And own that shit, you got to. And then you'll be even better at what you do because you're not being a douchebag kind of lying to yourself or people around you of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's cool to see that, especially to get the perspectives of all the other artists out there that can share that with the world, not just the community that we're in, but also people outside of it. Like you're saying, like when you talk to your girlfriend's dad about what you do, it's like this little elevator pitch. You got to make sure you know what you're saying, so you're not pissing them off.
I mean, it's like every time you tried to rent a house and the landlord asks you, like, what do you do for a living? And you're like, well, like I blow glass, I make marbles, I make vases, I do cups, I do this. And, I kind of do some pipes too. But, like,
exactly.
I just finally got the first landlord. I just moved into a new house, and I had the first landlord where my shop is across the street and 3 doors down from my house. And when I go to meet the landlord, our first introduction, we're sitting down talking. He's like, what do you do? I was like, oh, I have the shop across the street. This place blows. And he's like, oh, that's great. He's like, what do you guys blow? And I was like, I do a little bit of everything. I was like, and just kind of left it at that. He's like, you blow pipes? I was like, yep, I do. He goes, sweet, I own a dispensary.
Fuck yeah.
I was like, and then I was like, Portland rules.
Yes.
So it's the first time I've ever had a landlord where he's like, it's cool what you do. He's like, if you have to move into the garage to do it, he's like, we could figure something out. He's like, I'd raise your rent though. And I was like, I don't want to move into my house. It's fine. He's like, cool. He's like, I didn't want you there anyways. So it's awesome. I have a landlord where it's just like straight shooter as it gets. It's like he It's like, rent's going to be late 3 days. Tell me it's going to be late 3 days. If you don't tell me, I'm going to give you a $50 fine. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
sounds great, man. So it's nice. I love the Oregon life.
Yeah, it's so different up there. I got some friends that moved out there recently, and they're saying the same thing. Like, they love it. From Florida, even, they came from, which is
Yeah.
like the exact opposite mentality. You know, it reminds me, too, a couple weeks ago, I was on stage. We have our hot shop at Magic Kingdom, and I was just sitting there doing my demo, and everybody kind of left, and I heard somebody in the audience mention something about tobacco pipes as I'm doing my thing. I always ignore that kind of shit because I get people like, hey, can you make me a Mickey bong? You know, like that kind of dumb shit. And I'm like, yeah, Goofy Smoke Shop's around the corner, you stupid fuck. But I heard this tobacco pipe thing come up, and I'm like ignoring it, and then I'm done with my demo, and this guy's still standing there, and he starts talking to me about his daughter and her ex-boyfriend, and this guy was like a douchebag, and he starts telling me the story about him, and he ends up being a pipe maker, right? And I was like, oh, I'm a pipe maker, and it completely, like, I saw the look on his expression on his face going from like this kind of scowl look. It completely changed his perspective on the fact that, you know, I'm also a pipe maker, but I'm here at Disney doing glass on stage in the hot shop in a completely different, you know, environment. And we go to talking and stuff, and he opens his wallet to show me a picture of something. I think it was, he's like, hey, look what I do. And he ends up being a fucking federal police officer in Washington, D.C., which I thought was kind of ironic that I'm talking to a cop here about being a pipe maker. And we started talking about it, about the laws and the rules up in Washington, D.C. and stuff. It was like his whole change of conversation from his daughter's ex-boyfriend being a douchebag because he's a pipe maker to now talking about the laws and how the dispensaries and the legalization in DC is, but they still can't sell pipes in the dispensaries. It's like it's this whole weird dynamic they have going on, and they're trying to figure out on the law end the side of how to deal with these kind of things there. So it was fun.
DC's the wild west right now.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
From what I've been told, it's they're going ham.
Yeah,
it's pretty comical.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it's always fun though to change people's perspectives, you know, when you can talk to them about that kind of stuff, because everybody again thinks they were a bunch of druggies and, you know, losers.
So right before I did the first viewing of Vagabong last year in San Francisco, March 30th in San Francisco. I had a final copy. I had like the final edition with me, and I was just like showing it to like a couple friends and this and that. And I was visiting my girlfriend at the time, or I was visiting her while she was in Philly at the time, visiting her mom, and we showed her mom the film. And when her mom watched the film, at the end of it, she said, it was very nice. It was very interesting. She's like, I'm not into it. So, you know, it was nice. It educated me a little bit. And I was like, that's cool. And she's like, you know, it was enjoyable enough that I'd watch something else that was related to it, but, you know, I don't know if I would search it out. So that showed me right there with this lady who had no idea about the industry that it was entertaining enough that she would potentially watch something else.
Hell yeah.
That meant that it was going to be a win.
Yeah.
When somebody who had no idea about the industry watched it and said I would watch something else about it, I was like, yes. And then I was excited to show my friend, or then I was excited to show the community. One of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done was that first night of showing it. And I rented this place in San Francisco called The Chapel, which is an old church that's now a nightclub. And they have you got the floor area, and you got an upstairs bar. And then we had another bar that was kind of detached. It was like a separate bar in the other room, and we had all the pieces that were made on the road trip were on display there. It was the first time anyone got to see all that. I also made a book of all the pieces that were made on the trip, along with some photos from the trip that Connor took, or Pyroscopic took. And I tried to make it into a full experience where it was like catered, beer, wine was provided. If you wanted whiskey, you had to buy it. And, you know, California is a medical state, but you're not supposed to smoke in spaces. So we had to, like, before the film comes on, a couple people took some hits in the crowd, and I had to get on stage and make a little like, hey guys, can't do that, shake fingers at everybody. And it's like, fuck, that's not what I want to do here. But I got to for the bar manager. And we played the film, and just watching everybody watch it for the first time was like every hair on my body was standing up, tears in my eyes, just watching everyone enjoy it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that was one of the greatest feelings ever. And to remember it and go back on that night and think about like all the hard work that we put in up until that night, it was really crazy, and it made it all worthwhile. I think I told you earlier, I had gotten in a car accident in January. So the end of January, the whole month of February, the whole month of March, into the end of April, I actually couldn't blow glass. My left arm wouldn't let me from a pinched nerve in my neck. So if it wasn't for the finishing of Vagabond, I don't know what I would have done mentally. I would have lost it. Like, I can't do the one thing I'm good at, the one thing that, you know, makes me me is going to work every day and working.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not the mentality to have, because the glass blowing doesn't make me me. Me is what makes me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my personality is what makes my glass so great. It's not my glass is so great that it makes my personality good. It's the other way around. So, and that it takes a while to remember that. And so right as I'm finishing up this film, I'm having to take my whole nest egg that I saved up for and pay all these people. In my mind, I was going to be blowing glass and selling glass, and like that was going to be funding the finishing of the film. But it didn't work that way. So by the time I got to the film, I was running on total fumes. Like, if it wasn't for help from friends, the film would not have been finished. I had a couple really close friends step up and make it happen. And for them, I'm eternally grateful. But it was one of those things where it's like, you almost I had to learn how to ask for help too.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's another thing, is when you're trying to make something that's bigger than yourself, then you don't want to show weakness in a sense, even though it's not, by asking for help, because, you know, you want to be doing it. So it was a very humbling experience, and it showed me a lot of really big character flaws within myself to work on. And overall, it's, like I said, it's the best experience of my life, and really helping me with interactions with other people and different avenues of business. So
yeah.
I'm super stoked on it. But and from there, it's just another thing. It's because it's like, now I finished the film, and it's like, what do you do with it when it's finished? You're like, oh, let's get it on Netflix. Let's get it on Netflix. Well, it's like, how do you get it on Netflix? Like, I don't fucking know.
Right.
So at that point, it was like, I kind of went off of Slinger's way, and I followed that and tried his method, and that was film festivals. So I entered it into 14 different film festivals around the country.
Awesome.
Short film festivals, documentary film festivals, everything. And did not get one response.
Huh.
So I got 14 responses that all said, this was a very excellent film. It was well produced. It was great, but we don't think the content would fit our festival. All 14 of them said that. All of them said that. And I went for DC Short Film Festival, Boston Short Film Festival, Philly Short Film Festival, Denver, San Francisco, LA, Portland. Like, I went for legal states. So maybe in my mind that they would be into. We entered Sundance, South by Southwest. I guess South by Southwest is the only one I still might be able to get into. And if we get it, sweet. But I think they've already sent out everything that they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just, at that point, after November, and when I got the last one back, I kind of was just like, almost felt defeated. It was almost like a defeating, like feeling like it wasn't good enough for, to be shown in these places. So it's like, now it's like, oh, do I try and get it on Netflix? What do I do? And I just made the decision to put it on Vimeo. I was like, screw it. I was like, $3 rentals. It's not that much. Everyone can afford $3. And the whole goal was just to see if, it could generate some revenue, maybe make some of the money that was spent on it back.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'd be like great to go get DVDs, but at this point, I'm so busy living life that I don't have money to go buy DVDs to wait for 3 months for, my initial investment to come back, and then wait another 6 months for the profit. Like the film, as awesome as it was, it really mentally took its toll on me from not working and from showing the film. Because I went on like we showed it around the country 16 times. So I went to 15 different cities outside of Portland to show the film. And every time I'm going to do those, it's a lot of travel, it's a lot of food, it's a lot of everything, and always putting on a happy face.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like for a few months there, it's like I couldn't work. And then when I was working at half, like 20 hours a week. And it's like I'm still trying to live on a 60-hour a week budget, working 20 hours a week. So there's a thing when it's like when you're financially stable, it's easy to have mental stability because you're not worrying about shit. But as soon as your financial stability goes, you start worrying about everything. You start worrying about shit that you don't need to worry about. And it's really harmful for people to worry,
Yeah.
I think I actually read something yesterday that made me think it's worrying is a waste of imagination.
Yeah, because all worrying is just like thinking about the things that in the future. Like I heard somebody say one day, like depression is like focusing on the events of the past, and anxiety is focusing on the events of the future.
Yeah. But using your imagination to create the worst case scenario within everything and
Right.
doing all of that, it's just a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes time to get that stuff back. And, I got my hands back now, like where I can work. I still can't work by 12-hour days. I can get like a solid 8 hours of work done in 12 hours. I got to take more breaks nowadays, kind of rest, because if I push myself, then I can't work the next day, and I have to go to the massage and get chiropractic work and all kinds of other shit. It really sucks. I have 2 recommendations for surgeries right now that I'm trying to avoid because it scares the shit out of me. But that's, when you're thinking about like, how are you going to support yourself? Like, what are you going to do? It changes the whole way your work looks. It changes the way everything looks around you. So this film was a big one for me. It was like, it mentally got to me for a while, while I was waiting for all the film festivals. Cause I'm like sitting there showing the film around, everybody's loving it and everything's dope, and I'm all hyped up. I'm on this wave of just like awesomeness because everyone's loving it. And then I get this return letter where they're like, didn't get accepted, and then it just like wipe out, and then I'd be like, fuck, I got to get myself back up on that wave again.
Yeah.
So this year was a whole lot of like paddle out, surf in, paddle out, surf in, just in my mental psyche. So it was an interesting year, and it makes me really excited for this next year, because when I put the film out on Vimeo, it's done. It's done. The only thing left to do now is make a DVD for it, and it's going to do that itself. It's going to generate enough money to pay for its own DVDs, and then the DVDs will get taken to a trade show, hopefully by next year. And and we'll go that way. But it's something that now I'm able to look past it and see where I am in this whole thing right now. Like, where am I? Like, what am I doing? Because it kind of took focus away from myself and my work because I was putting it towards this project. So I'm having a lot of fun just sitting in the shop making little pendants and marbles and taking a step back because I was making wormholes for so long, and the hype was there that I was selling everything and everything was going and things were going in, and then bam, physically I can't make that no more. I can't do it. And I've had to build my strength back up to being able to do it. So instead of being frustrated about it, I had to learn how to enjoy the little things. It's like, yeah, it sucks I can't make this big expensive piece that sells, but shit, I can sure make a whole lot of pendants. I can make all these spoons, and I can make some Sherlocks, and I can do all this stuff, and it fucking sells too. So
Exactly.
it's like, it's not that big of a deal. The only difference is like, it's a lot more thinking, because it's like, you don't want to make the same thing all the time. You want to throw different stuff together and have fun with it. So it's been enjoyable to learn how to kind of step back and actually appreciate what I'm doing, because there's that moment where you're like caught up in what's the next guy doing? What are you doing? What's the next big thing to make money on? And it's like, what's the thing that you don't care about making money on?
Yeah.
What's that thing that you can walk into your shop right now and make it, and you don't give two shits if it sells or if you get to sit and look at it on your shelf for the next year?
Yeah.
And when you can do that, when you're broke and you're struggling, that's when I feel that you've made it as an artist, or made it as like a glassblower, because it's like you're no longer worrying about what other people are doing. You're no longer worrying about what the money you're going to make is. You're doing it because this is what you love, and that's art. That's everything else we do is craft.
Mm-hmm.
Until you have that moment of like, I just took a week and I was like, I'm going to take this week, I'm going to do this project because this is a project I really want to do. And my girlfriend was like, how much are you going to sell the lights for? And I'm like, I don't even think I can sell these things. Like, I'm not going to get very much for it. I knew I wasn't going to get much for it. And I was doing it just because it was something that I wanted to do. And it was like that best week of blowing glass that I had all year. And it was the last week of the year. So it was like, I was just like so jazzed on what I was doing, had so much fun. And it really just kind of like gave me that remembrance of like, stop worrying about shit.
Yeah.
Like, just do it because this is what you do. That's like what Buck's whole show was last year, that intrinsic, where it's like, just make stuff because that's what you feel like making. That's why I started blowing glass. That's why a lot of my friends started blowing glasses, because we could just make whatever we wanted.
Yeah, exactly. That's also why I've stopped taking custom orders. So I felt like for the longest time, like for me, the attitude was the custom order is going to give me some new ideas to expound upon down the road. But really, all it was doing was kind of handcuffing me to make what I wanted to make, in a sense, And so this year, it's I'm in the same boat. Like I have my season of 2018. My word for this year, like every year I have a word. Last year was no. This year is consistency. And for me, every week I'm doing something, adding something to my plate in a sense that's going to be consistent. But for my glass, my whole theme this year is testing the waters. And it's also my new life that I have now that I'm at 41 years old and just recently gone through a divorce and relocated closer to my work and stuff. So I understand where you're coming from, dude, completely. And it's also easy, like when you go through all these years of just it's not that you're coasting through it, but you kind of are when things are successful and you find your groove. And then all of a sudden, fucking hit the wall, and it's like, holy shit, like, you have this big wake-up call, and you're like what you've been going through yourself. I mean, besides the glass, but also with your documentary, like you have this, these ideas of, grandeur in a sense of where it's going to go and potentially could be, and then you're shot down. And then it's like, okay, now what the fuck do I do? But you understand as you've grown in this industry and as a glass artist, because glass teaches us all this stuff in a sense. is that all you can do is just pivot and evolve a little bit, and now you're going to with doing the digital version of your film where anybody can watch it on your phone or fucking whatever. It doesn't matter where
Dude,
they're
we've
at.
had, I think this morning I looked and we're at 15 countries.
Nice.
It's been people have watched it in 14 countries outside of the U.S.
Yeah, it's fucking cool, right?
It tells me how many times each place sees it and stuff like that. So it's pretty awesome. Just be like, one guy in New Zealand watched it last night. One guy in Spain has seen it. One dude in Norway. One guy in Colombia. One guy in Chile. One guy in it really is just showing me how far this pipe is spreading across the world and like influencing other people. And it's just pretty sweet to see. And it's like, I think I'm at almost it was like at 800 views total. So it's pretty sweet. So I'm like, sweet, let's see where it goes. I'm supposed to be doing an interview with or a Skype interview with Now This media outlet. They do one called Now Cannabis, and then they do Now This, and it's just like a 2-minute little, or a minute to 2-minute little flash. It's usually like something on the Dakota pipeline to something with cannabis to something with Bernie Sanders to something with cannabis, and they go all around. That's kind of like their whole format. They did the interview with Elbow last year, and it hit like, I think, almost 2 million views now.
Wow.
And I think this week or next week I'm supposed to do an interview with them. They're gonna put up they're gonna put the interview up with a link to the Vimeo site and see if we can see what we can get from there. Because it's like, the more people who see it, the more likely it will get put towards a front page, or let's see. Because it's like, honestly, I would love it if this thing generated, let's say 30,000 people watch it. That's almost fucking,
it's 90 grand.
I think because Vimeo takes a little percentage of it.
Right,
so
right.
it works out to like, let's say 60 grand.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's like, dude, that's 60 grand that I can then put towards a new project.
Yeah, exactly.
People are like, I want to see another one. It's like, well, you want to see another one? Rent the fucking film. Show the film around. I don't want to be a dick like that, but that's kind of the way I am right now. No, but it's true.
I totally understand.
I'm like, guys, look, like I raised up money from sponsors. I put everything I had into it. And if there wasn't a car accident, I'd probably have a whole different mindset about it. But as it is right now, I'm like, I want to do more. But the only way more is going to happen is if this thing generates its own income.
Mm-hmm.
Because the income that I'm generating right now through the work that I'm making, I can't put it towards a film right this moment. Like, I don't have that mental capacity. I have the mental capacity of making sure my daughter makes it through college this year. I got to make sure that tuition is paid. And it is a great feeling to watch her succeed in life. It's like awesome knowing that I'm succeeding in life, but to sit down and watch your child succeed is one of the best feelings that anyone can ever have.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking amazing.
So, yeah, and the film took away from that a little bit. It didn't take away from her succeeding. It took away from my ability to help her in projects. But it was fun to watch her figure out how to, get a new job and different things. So I wasn't paying for everything, but it was great. So I'm ready to just kind of sit back and see where the waters kind of take me right now. I'm really enjoying less is more,
Mm-hmm.
Making less work and enjoying life more is great,
Yeah, because it's so easy to be stuck in the studio. Just like you're saying, you're going from 60 hours a week to 20. So now you have more time to enjoy life and not just being behind your torch all the time. And don't get me wrong, bro. Like, I love being behind my torch, but I also enjoy going to the park and walking the dog or whatever, outside of the studio.
I'm still trying to get better at it, but it's a daily struggle.
It is. It's an addiction. It's in a sense. But it's also one of those kind of things, like, I know for myself personally, for the longest time, it was like my way to go escape from the realities of the world, just to go into my shop and, get away from it all.
It's like if I don't have money to pay rent, go to the shop and work. Eventually, shit's gonna sell.
Yep.
But if I stop working, then that's gonna, in 3 weeks, gonna be a really bad issue.
Yeah.
And I kind of learned that one. There's a bunch of stuff right now that I'm seeing in the industry that kids haven't quite learned yet.
Yeah, which is why I like having this podcast, man, to talk about this stuff, which is also another topic I wanted to bring up with you, being the beginning of the year and stuff, and seeing some of the quote-unquote ballers out there that aren't balling out anymore, and there's this weird flux going on in the industry where the success isn't necessarily what it was, and some people are seeing like, okay, what the fuck's going on? Some people are freaking out. Some people are like, oh, this is just a bubble bursting, when it's not a fucking bubble. It's just the way business is. There's ebbs and flows in business and industry always. So, we kind of talked pre-show about this a little bit, and it seems like with social media, people are talking too much in a sense, and painting pictures that they maybe shouldn't be painting, or, whatever, So I guess in a sense, like, what's your perspective on what you're seeing on your side of the world out there?
I see a bunch of different ones. One of the major things that I see is affecting the industry is people overall, from collectors to glass artists. And what it is the attitudes that they have and the way they communicate and the way they portray their attitudes and what they're doing. 3 years ago, I saw a lot of money coming into the industry. I saw a lot of people were making sales. A lot of this was happening. Pieces were getting flipped for insane amounts of money, and nobody knew what was going on, but we were riding that wave and we were enjoying it. And then there's the people that weren't seeing that money, and they were like, wait a minute, why is this guy popular and I'm not? I have more skills than him. Why is this guy getting paid this amount of money for this piece when I make this piece and it's nicer than his? Or I make the same piece that this guy designed. Why don't I get the money that he makes off of it? And I was seeing a lot of that conversation going around online. And I was seeing a lot of people talking about it, just, talking about this. And it started with glass blowers, in my opinion. It started with people talking about, fuck this guy for selling these one color pieces, or fuck this guy for making a fucking dinosaur, fuck this guy for making a bear, fuck this guy for doing that. And it's like, oh, anyone can do honey drips. Like, oh, he puts honey drips on a piece and he gets more money. Like, it's not about the honey drip. It's not about that. That guy is making the money that he's making because of the attitude that he has. One, the love that he puts into his work and the differences that he's constantly doing. He's not looking at other people's work to make his work. He's making his work. Mm-hmm. Two, you got guys out there that are like, so all this is happening. And the whole time these guys are doing this, what they're saying is they're telling the collectors, the young kids coming into the industry, like, fuck these guys. Their pieces are overpriced. This is overpriced. This is hype. That's hype. And then you get the collectors start doing the same thing. Like, oh, those guys are just hype. Oh, 3 years ago when I was buying pieces from that dude, they were a third of the price. I got a fish that was this big for this much money. He's just greedy now. And then, so that's for 3 years, that keeps compiling up and compiling up. And now we got new kids coming into the industry. Like, kid just got his fucking, just turned 18, just turned 21, got his fucking trust fund, just got his fucking, he's been working the same job for a while, just got his promotion. Now he's ready to buy that big piece, just cropped out his first crop, whatever the fucking scenario is. That kid's ready to invest in some glass. He shows up on a forum. What the fuck does he see? He sees collectors saying there's no fucking resale market in it. He's seen glass blowers saying this guy's overhyped, this guy's underhyped, buy my work, I'm broke. All these different voices saying these different things. It makes people hesitant to invest into the industry. When everybody from the artist to the collector are complaining about shit, it makes people that are new in the industry hesitant to invest into it. because one, this guy's looking at like his boys made these pieces that were worth this and that, or bought these pieces that went up in value. Maybe he might actually be buying the piece because he truly fucking loves it. But now he's just heard all this fucking crap, so he's going to hesitate on buying it.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
I think that's where the social media, as a fucking awesome tool as it is kind of the demise to the thing. Like, yeah, it helped us. It got us fucking out there. It got us money. People were making money off of it. Did really fucking well off of it. Now, some of those people lost their hype because their work hasn't changed. You know?
Yep.
So now you're looking at a guy whose work hasn't changed in 6 years, and there's 30 other people who've started blowing glass in the past 5 years that are making his work. Sorry, man, your work's not, you got to evolve.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yep.
And it's like you can either evolve and move forward in becoming an amazing glass artist, or you can sit there and be the guy online yelling at everyone that they're biting your style and give credit where credit's due and this and that. And those are the things that I'm seeing really heavily in the industry, where it's like, don't worry about what this guy's doing. Don't look at other people's fucking work to get inspired for your own work. You want to get inspired to make something cool? Go for a fucking hike.
Exactly.
Go read a book. You know, quit watching television. Quit making cartoon characters because they're going to go up and down. Like, all of this stuff is an ebb and flow. And this year, one of the things that I saw, which was kind of crazy, is everyone was like, right before Christmas, oh, sales are down. It's going to be a shitty Christmas, this and that. And it's like, you're using December to make money? I learned 15 years ago when I started blowing glass 16 years ago. And 15 years ago, I learned you do not bank on sales around Christmas. Nobody buys shit from the artist around Christmas.
Exactly.
No stores are going to be buying more work because every store is trying to get rid of their inventory as fast as they can so they don't have to pay taxes on their inventory. And you got a trade show in a month. You know? So all the money that they're making off Christmas sales, they're saving up to go to the trade show. And that just shows me right there is, one, all the kids that I watched that were on there complaining and stuff, all the guys I saw were younger. 3-5 years blowing glass. They came in during the bubble. People were spending. Now it's like back to where it was like 10 years ago, where it's like you have to be making something cool. People have to know who you are. You got to be, you know, you got to be stepping up your game. You can't be making stuff other people are making and wondering why it's not selling. You got to actually put yourself into your work if you want your work to move.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, I mean, I'm just as guilty as anybody is for jumping on a hype train and making this piece because it was sellable. And then all of a sudden, bam, I've sold as many of them as I could sell. And what do I make next? What do I make next? And that's like a constant struggle for everyone. And you got to remember that, like, there's ebb and flows. Like, shit comes up, shit drops down. And if you don't save for when the shit drops low, you're going to be sitting there with your dick in your hand wondering what the fuck's going on.
Exactly.
Like, why aren't I making money? It's like, there's a reason why really good artists had jobs for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have friends that are some of the best fucking painters in the world. Like, I got a buddy of mine, CT Nelson. The dude is fucking amazing. His paintings sell for $10,000-$20,000 a time. He sold out his last couple of shows. All within like the past few years, he's came up and he's doing it now. The guy's a full-time computer programmer. He works a full-time job. And he told me, he's like, man, if I didn't work full-time and I had to worry about paying my rent off my artwork wouldn't look like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not be able to express myself through my artwork fully because I would be trying to rush through this painting to get it done for the next show so that I could sell it for the most amount of money as I possibly can.
Yeah, and being a glassblower, you're worried about your ship breaking or not coming out, or there's so many factors involved in it that just like you're saying, you can't have that kind of negative stress in your mind. You got to know
Yeah,
how to, you
so
got to walk through your studio door and let that shit go. And a lot of times it's
yeah.
not easy. And I've done
Oh,
that.
it's tough as hell. And one of the things, and that's like from talking with him and from talking with some other artists, really showed me like how lucky a lot of us pipe makers were. That like we got to learn how to become artists. I'm not an artist. I'll be the first one to say it. Like I'm not an artistic guy. Like I'm very crafty. Like you can show me how to do something, I can figure it out. And as I get better and better with glass blowing, I get more and more artistic. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a woodworker, a iron worker. You know, same difference. You got to learn how to do this shit, and once you learn how to do it, you can figure out how to express yourself. There's a few guys out there that are fucking. They got amazing talent. Joe Coyle, Joe Coyle and Elbow. The way those guys' minds work and the way they create and the way they sculpt is amazing to me. Like it is they like Hooves, I'll throw Hooves in that same category. Watching those guys work and the way that they sculpt and Salt and all of those sculptor guys, the way they fucking work, it is just mind blowing to me. And I've taken classes from them and I've tried to figure it out. And it's like, I know how to do what they're doing, but I can't make what I do not look like theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing of for me is like, I have to learn how to make my work look like mine. So, or I have to learn how to make those sculpting skills look like mine. And it takes a lot of practice. And to sit down and think that I can just sculpt something or make something for the first time and then turn around and sell it for a profit, that's rare. That's amazing. And I'm thankful for it every day. And I think that a lot of people in the industry kind of overlook those things that are new in the industry. Especially they overlook those things because they came into it with this grandeur of starting a new carb cap company and doing this and that. And it's just like, man, you guys, it's cool. You guys are jumping in, you're here, but like, what are you doing here? You're just creating a whole bunch of product that's going to now make it hard for all these other people to sell shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because a lot of things got so saturated, like you're saying, like the carb caps, for instance. Like the first couple came out, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is fucking cool," and it made sense in terms of a functional product line. But then you had a ton of people that started making them, which then dropped the prices or whatever, supply and demand in a sense on things, or they were beginning to sell them for way less than what they should be selling them for, anyways. In terms of the fair market value.
Mean, shit, dude, carb caps or bubble caps get more money than spoons, and they're a third of the fucking
funny,
shit. Right? It's like, god damn. I mean, I'm saying on like a low end production scale, like you go in for a bubble cap and that's still going to be $15-$20, and you're like looking at a spoon that's twice as much glass. You're like, why isn't that one $15? You're like, this little oil burner crack pipe is almost the same thing as that little bubble cap there. Like I could almost use it the same.
Yeah.
it's kind of funny the way some of it goes. Like
it's so weird, isn't it?
But that's the thing is, like I said, like I try not to pay attention to any of that. Like I actually haven't looked at Facebook once this year. Like I'm trying to like stop looking at Facebook. It's a tool. Mm-hmm. Like Instagram is a tool. Like these are tools. These are marketing tools. These are there to help you be able to reach a higher audience. And if it's taking over your life and you're spending more time on it than you are blowing glass, then it's wrong. If you're sitting there worried about what people's likes and dislikes are more than like making the work that you want to make, then you're doing it wrong. You're not using the tool to its potential.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah, learn what people like, learn what people don't like. But social media it's a drug. It's kind of I've been watching these things where they say that like when you're focusing on social media, every time you get a like, every time you get those comments, those are dopamines that are getting released in your brain because that's somebody patting you on the back.
Yep.
And when you're in your reality and you're not constantly getting your back patted on and you're having to live in a life, live your life, it's not as fun as living an Instagram life where you're getting likes and you're liking other people's stuff and you're seeing what other people are doing, and then you can now judge your life poorness over their life greatness, and it's just not that great for us.
No, it's not healthy at
And
all.
so I'm personally trying to step away from interacting with social media as much. Like, I'm still making a lot of posts. I'm still trying to do a lot of posts on Instagram and do that to promote my shit, promote my things, and just kind of keep connections with people. But I'm not using it like I was, where it's like I make a post and then I see how many likes I get. Well, would this person comment on it?
Hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, even nowadays too, with these algorithms that they have, it's you may post something that one day you get 25 likes on it, depending on what time of day it is, and the next day you could post the same fucking thing at a different time and get 10 times the amount of comments or likes or whatever based on the post.
The one
And
I'm getting, the one I get right now is like I make a post, I might get like 100 likes on it today. Tomorrow I'll get 500 likes on it.
right, exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
I see more when I actually look through my Instagram feed, I see more stuff from yesterday or 17 hours ago than I do from like an hour ago.
I'm still
2
seeing
hours
people's
ago.
posts from fucking Christmas time. It's the craziest thing. It's so weird how it
Yeah.
works like that. But what's
Yeah,
also
it's
nice is you can go and see your
frustrating.
Oh, it's completely frustrating. But then you have like your insights if you have your page set up like a business page, so you can really fine tune like when you are posting things based on time of day and who's looking at what, even demographics and places and
That's
male,
I
female and stuff.
that was the stuff right there where I just got, it's just too much for me. It's like I I'm worrying more about other people's likes and acceptance more
Hmm.
than I am just about, here, I made the post, now I can move on with my day.
Yeah, I guess for myself personally, as just online marketing,
That's
and stuff, it's for me,
no
it's
for
a tool. But I understand what you're saying
no,
though.
it is a marketing tool, and once you know your tool, then you're like, boom, you can use it. You're like, okay, at 3 o'clock I'm going to make my post.
Yeah.
5 o'clock's the best time for me to post, and then you're like, you can get that. But if you're having, there's like a moment where it's good, and then there's that moment where you're like having to schedule your whole life around this one post, and it's like you could have just made that post when you first woke up and then dealt with your whole day.
Yeah. Well, actually, I
And
have a.
that's where I was getting into. That was kind of my issue, where I was like trying to make sure I hit this time and make sure I get this many posts in this time, and like I had
Mhm.
a full formula for a while, and I've just given up on it. Like, I'm kind of at the point now to where it's like last 3 years I've traveled all but 3 months out of the year. This year my goal is, or I guess it's the last, 14, 15, 16, and 17. I traveled all but 3 months of the year on all 3 of those years. I think maybe one year was 4 months. This year, my goal is to only travel 3 months and stay home. And because when you're always traveling and collaborating with everybody, I kind of got into a rut of like making this, making that, and not exploring my own creativity, not exploring like, what do I want to make? Like, what this one technique that was really cool and that I've only done a couple of times, like, what's its potential? So like that's kind of where I'm at right now, is like I'm excited to relax a little bit. Like, I've been fucking nose to the road for a while doing my thing, and now I'm just kind of ready to enjoy just, you know, walking across the street to the shop, going out to dinner with friends. Like, I've I've spent so much time living life so much time living that I actually forgot to live, and forgot to actually take the time, to call your friend, to go have a drink with them, because, he might be having a bad day and need that drink just as bad as you do.
Yeah.
And you're having a great day. So, if it's hard to keep connections with friends when you're always out on the road, and it's great meeting new friends, but with your old friends, it's hard to keep that connection when you're not actually putting in the time to be the friend. So this year for me is really about slowing life down a little bit and relaxing. And I'll still be at a lot of the shows and doing a lot of the things, but I'm not going to be collaborating as much and doing all that. Like, I'm really excited just to kick it and relax.
Fuck yeah. Well, you deserve it, man. Like you said, the last 3 years have been just go, 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 and now you get the chance to kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor. You know, even if the fruits are kind of dried up a little bit, and it's time to get them rehydrated in a sense. You know,
Yeah,
and physically take care of yourself, dude. Like you got some issues, you know, physically.
Yeah, the physical things, it's working. They're all working themselves out. I'm so much better than I was last year.
Yeah.
It's still not what it was, but you know, it's life. You roll with the punches. You move forward. Things keep going. You can either sit and dwell on one thing, or you can move forward and make other things happen. I'm excited to see what happens this year. I've been hearing rumors of all kinds of fun events that might be happening, and I really hope the DFO comes back. You know, I've been hearing rumors that it might come back, but we don't know yet. So we'll wait to see. Maybe something gets announced at one of these next 3 trade shows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, speaking of the trade shows, do you find like this kind of oversaturation of trade shows has hurt this industry more so than helped, or do you think it's kind of?
I think that the oversaturation of trade shows has definitely hurt us, and it's hurt us in a sense of like glass blowers are going broke trying to do these.
Right, that's my feeling too.
You know, they're spending all their money to get down to Texas to go to a trade show, and nobody shows up. They're spending all their money to get out to, you know, they got to do AGE, they got to do Champs, they got to do Las Vegas, they got to do this, and it's so much. Like, I really find fault in the trade shows. I find fault in Champs. I find fault in AGE. Grassroots, Las Vegas adds to it, but Champs, AGE, we had 2 trade shows a year. We had the winter and we had the summer. We had Champs and AGE that were the same fucking week. That was the best thing for us that was ever there. We had 2 trade shows back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have 3 trade shows that are 2 weeks apart. That means that I have to drive all the way to LA or all the way to Las Vegas, do the show. If I do well and I'm out of inventory, then sweet, I get to go home. If I don't do well, I got 2 weeks or 1 month till the next show. And then, so it's like, what do you do for that time period? What do you do with your inventory? Do you ship it home and ship it back? Like, it creates this whole fucking dynamic that's weird. And it's on top of that, it's like, now there's Atlantic, there's the kid. Okay, we got the Atlantic trade show now, which is taking away from people going to the summer trade shows. Mm-hmm. You got the Dallas trade show that's taking away from people going to the summer trade show. You got the Denver trade show that's taking away from, you know, all these things. It's like, then they throw a trade show in Canada. Now people don't need to come from Canada to the U.S. to do the trade show. And it's like, guys, let's do two spring or winter, summer, 6 months apart. Do them the same fucking weekend. Why is it that in the clothing companies can have 6 trade shows going at once? Everyone's cool with it. We can't have 2 glass shows going at the same time because everyone gets into a pissing contest that their trade show's better than their other person's trade show. It's like, it shows me straightforward that they don't care about the glass blowers. They care about selling booths.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, it's kind of weird, man, because like we had Champs Orlando this year for the first time, and
exactly my point.
And I went to it
exactly my point
to see
it's
it.
Like,
and it was,
and all the glass blowers that were local that needed money, they fucking threw in their $1,000 for a booth. They got there, maybe broke even on it. Hopefully they broke even. If not, then, you know, but they had a chance to enter into the win a trip to the Las Vegas show or the Champs fucking competition. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and that's what I'm saying is, it's like, if AGE cared about us, they would only do 2 shows a year. If Champs cared about the glass blowers, they'd only do 2 trade shows a year.
Yep.
Or they're trying to be like, oh, we care about the glass blowers, the small time ones that can't afford to get out of Texas to come to these shows. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because you're throwing so many shows back to back that the market's so saturated that these companies, you know, you're throwing enough trade shows that these small town shops don't need to shop from their local glassblowers because they can get everything they need from these trade shows.
Exactly, and that's what's that has killed, not really killed it, but in a sense has killed the industry in Florida. All these high-end
Yeah.
shops that were buying from everybody local, or even in the mom and pops, now they're just going to the trade shows. And these guys that are making the China killers and everything else that they were paying their bills with, they can't fucking sell a goddamn thing anymore because, oh, we're saving our money for the trade show. Well, fuck.
Yeah. And there's a lot of competition for those shops out there now too. And it's just like, I think that, you know, I think that the trade shows, as awesome as they are for us and as great as they are, have really hurt us and would be in their best benefits and our best benefits as the artists if they fucking slowed it down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go back, throw them the same weekend. It's like, look at what Champs did. Las Vegas tried to throw their show the same week as Champs. They did it last year. They tried to do it again this year. And what do? They move their show 2 weeks later. Champs does. Well, sweet. Now you just made it harder, and you're making people choose you or them. AGE or Champs, they're a month apart. They're a fucking month apart. They used to be a day apart.
Yeah.
They used to overlap a day. They used to be a week apart. They keep moving farther and farther apart because they're literally trying to make us choose. Who do we support more? Well, fuck that. Who do they support more? Who do they actually care about? You know, the last couple AGEs really showed me that AGE did not care about the glassblowers.
Yeah, I heard horror stories.
They care more about the collectors that are buying $2,000 fucking passes that go into their pocket that doesn't help the glassblower at all.
Yep.
Because if it helped the glassblower, that $2,000 would be going in glassblowers' pockets, not into their fucking pocket, so a fucking hype boy can come in early to the show. It's totally gone away from where it was. And I would like to see things slow down. Like, I chose this year to go to Las Vegas over Champs and AGE because, one, I heard great things about last year's, and two, the ladies are really out there trying to show us and trying to be a part of the community and promote and do these things. And it's like, I don't see the other ones doing it. They've already done it. They were established. They have their things. Like, I might see, you know, Champs and AGE at shows, but like, I don't see them actually participating and trying to be like making this industry better.
Yeah.
All I see them doing is trying to make more sales and sale boosts to make more money.
Yeah, I think that's what helps separate Glassroots too from the trade shows because Nick and all that team there, they're there for the glass artists with the show, the educational stuff they're doing now, and Nick's out there on the floor walking around, and they pulled their show out of Texas.
I can see that, but at the same time, I really found that the educational thing it separates people.
Yeah,
like,
we
I
talked
didn't even
about
see
that
anybody.
too.
I didn't see anybody from that part the whole time. That was kind of strange.
Yeah, that's
it's just like another thing is it's the same thing I'm saying is it's one more trade show that does okay for everybody, but it's really just kind of hindering the whole fucking thing. It's like, sweet, that Nick makes some money out of the things. Everyone kind of does okay at the show, but it's like, I feel that the trade shows did a lot better when we had one winter show, one summer show.
Yeah.
That was when I would go there and I would get orders for the whole year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What I agree with you with.
I don't get orders. I don't even get orders at all when I go to these shows now. They want to buy what I have and they want to move on.
Yep. These
trade shows originally for me that's what made my year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made people's years. It's so saturated with shows that like I don't need to put in an order with you that's going to take that you can't fill for the next 6 months because I'll just go to the next trade show in 3 months and restock then.
Yeah, exactly.
So I find that the trade shows are hurting us quite a bit. I find that they helped us a lot get to where we are. And they still do help people get names for them. Like if you win the Champs, the glass competitions in Champ. It really makes people see you, and that's one way to get yourself out there. You know, having a booth there, people get to see you. If you get into one of AGE's awards, and you know that's gonna make your year. Like those things really do change people's careers. But in general, I think that they need to slow it down for us.
Yeah, for the industry in
Like,
whole, I agree completely. Because I know, like,
it's,
as 19 years now doing the same thing, it's like my old distributor I first had would go to Champs twice a year, and that was his thing. And he would buy everything. I would make them, and he'd go there and sell it all and sell out and come back, and I'd fill them up for the next 6 months. And it was fucking awesome,
yeah,
and it seemed like it was viable for everybody in the industry at the time to be able to do that. Not everybody that did the trade shows, but those that did the trade shows were able to do that. But it's I don't know, it's just a weird. I guess too, if you look at like legalization of marijuana in general, when areas get it legalized, they go fucking crazy. Like when Oakland did, and they had like 25 dispensaries on one block. It's like it just gets oversaturated, and then it ruins it for everybody because either everybody gets shut down because it is so saturated, or just business goes down because prices go down because of supply and demand, or like you're saying,
yeah,
you're not getting orders for down the road because they're just going to buy your table and then move on to the next cat or the next trade show, and it just doesn't work.
yeah,
It just doesn't work for business, And I think I like too what you're saying too about the whole social media aspect of the negativity in terms of the collectors out there that are buying the glass as a collection, as an investment in a sense. And if you look at like the stock market in a sense, if any little bad whispers or negative comment goes out about a company for weeks and weeks and weeks, and if not months or years, that stock value goes down dramatically. And it's no different in our business. I mean, it's unless everybody right now is investing in fucking Bitcoin or whatever other bullshit's out there,
I
going
mean,
on.
yeah, that's definitely one right there also. But I think that that's one of those ebb and flows. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I had friends investing into different pot things a couple years ago, and they were like, now they're like so happy that they did it that they're like bought a few pieces, and then they go to Bitcoin, and then they go back around. But it's like, what I really want to see is this. I want to see collectors start buying shit that they fucking like. Not the shit that they think they're going to sell. Buying shit that they actually resonates with them, that they actually like, that they're going to collect it. If you're a fucking collector, collect. If you're trying to be an art dealer or an art flipper or do that, go ahead and do it. Shit takes a long time. You got to get a good inventory, and you got to have a good taste, good eye to be able to do that. But I'm ready to see collectors like they used to collect the artists that they like, the pieces that they like, buying stuff that they like. And I want to see the artists on the same hand making what they like, not making what they think is going to sell, what they think might be the next big thing. I want to see the artists push themselves. I want to see people in the studios pushing themselves to make the coolest thing they've ever done yet. And it's like, I don't care if you have to make a shit ton of production all year long and you only had one piece that you were super fucking proud of and that pushed your fucking skills. That's what it's about. That's what I want to see. I want to see people really stepping out of their boxes, stepping it up, and like pushing themselves and pushing this industry farther.
Yeah. That's well said, dude.
Yeah, like that's one of the reasons why I did the Vagabond film, was to inspire people. To inspire people to get up and go in your shop and make something cool. To remind you why you like to blow glass, why you love to blow glass, to inspire you to make something cool, to step out of your box, and, inspire people to like, shit, you didn't like it? You think you can do better? Grab a camera and do better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to see everyone try and make something. The more, the merrier, the better. Like, everyone's been doing this shit for a long time. Everyone's going to keep doing everything. So it's like, I just want to keep fueling the fire, keep throwing things out there that inspire people to try more. It's like, it's awesome to see people doing more.
Yeah, man. And with the, I think my favorite thing right now that, in terms of the things that have spawned from our industry, are the little like boutique companies that are popping up in terms of like color companies and tool companies and stuff that have been inspired by this hype color or these tools or whatever, but they're people out there that have a different skill set that are coming up and creating these different color companies and pushing that side of the envelope of tools to help us make our work even better and give us a variety of stuff. Like some of these joint tools that are out there right now to make handmade joints and stuff. It's like you can make them look like it was made on a fucking machine nowadays. And they're still handmade, and you can still get the money that you need.
What's great is what the funny thing is that's how they were made for years.
Yeah.
That's just somebody who took the old tool and threw in some new graphite bits and stuff like that. But that's how most joints are tooled anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
They always had one shape. Now we got multiple shapes, and it's pretty sweet. Like the tools, the advances in colors, all that. That's the exciting shit for me. And it's like we do need the money coming into the industry through work selling to be able to afford that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or you got to be a boss and just go get a job and fucking do what you want. Like I have projects right now that I want to make that there's no way that I could make it unless I didn't work for a month. So it's like trying to figure out how to not work for a month. It's like, well, what if I don't work for this week? Or what if I work this week, but everything gets set aside and then 2 months later I get to work for a week. So I have like projects like that I'm trying to plan out right now where it's like by the time I finish it, it's going to be, a solid month of work, but it's spanned across 6 to 8 months.
Right.
One of the projects I'm really excited to see is Germ Lion's project this year, Jeremy Grant Levine.
Yeah.
The 1,000 cranes. I'm really, really excited to see that. I'm super proud of him fucking stepping out of his box and making it because it's so much different than anything I've seen anyone else try and do in this industry. And the day that he has those all hung up, like I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. And like I'm excited for him to finish the last one, finish that project, and be able to move forward in whatever he wants to do in life. It's super cool. Like that's the projects that I'm seeing, right? Those are the things I'm saying right there. Like I'm ready to see more people do.
Yeah, I agree. And that's when him and I talked about that. Like I was hoping that him taking this, initiative on his own is going to inspire other people to do this kind of thing. That's where he's taken the knowledge he's learned in the medium that he's doing and this philosophy that he lives by, and he's creating this amazing project. It's like you're saying, there's really nobody else doing this kind of thing right now. And I think eventually, once this happens and people see that he actually followed through and did it, it's going to inspire a whole generation of glass artists to come in here and not just be hype boys and pipe makers and shit, but actually be like a real glass artist and make what the fuck they want to make because they're a glass artist.
Yeah. I definitely feel that also. Most people just like when it's all about how you first got introduced to glass.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing when I was making Vagabong, I realized, and one of the reasons I made it was this could potentially be somebody's first introduction into the glass pipe world outside of the pipe. Like they've gotten to pipes, they see the pipes, they see things on Instagram, and now they get to watch this video. And now that's going to give them a perspective on what this industry is. And it was a really heavy thing to deal with, but it's at the end of the day, I think I did a really good job on conveying the way I feel about the industry and the way others feel too. So I'm excited to see what it spawns because I see people trying to blame Slinger for degenerate art for all these new people in the industry. And I just got mad. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you guys all love the movie and now you're going to demonize him for spawning a new generation of young people. And it's like, you guys are just people on the internet just like to like point fingers and get mad to get mad.
Yeah, exactly.
So
hell yeah, dude. Well, on that note, I definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing, this last year and a half of what's been going on, because I know it hasn't been easy for you, and especially when you're kind of birthing this child in a sense of a film and putting your heart and soul to it, and then you get the the big reveal at the end, and you get to show it off, and it brings tears to your eyes. It's obviously all this hard work you've gone through has been worth it in the end.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Like I said, I'm really excited for more people to watch it and just see where it goes. Cause it's like, we've gone 14 other countries besides US. So let's see what it can do. We've had Mexico, Colombia, Watched it. Canada, Japan,
Hell yeah.
yeah, Great Britain, Norway. It's pretty insane to think of, and it keeps getting more and more. It's like that one guy in Norway who blows glass is now going to show his the one guys he knows in Russia that blow glass.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, it might only be one view in that country, but we're going to get those countries dialed. So
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty cool. This show is now listened to in over 63 countries. So we're gonna get the word out there for you, dude, and spread this like wildfire, because everybody needs to see it, for sure. And I'll have the links in the show notes. And if you want to tell us real quick too, again, I know there's some numbers on there, but if you have like a general website or whatever the word, you can find it.
It's on Vimeo under Vagabong, the American Pipe Dream.
Okay.
If you Google Vagabong, the American Pipe Dream, a trailer on YouTube will show up and a trailer on Vimeo will show up. And if you get to the Vimeo one, it will take you on to where you can watch it, or where you can rent it for $3.
Okay, cool.
Eventually, after this year, I'm going to put it onto YouTube and it'll be on both platforms. But for this year, I'm just going to let it kind of do its thing and see where it goes, and if it can help generate a new project. Because like I said, I would love to do more with the Vagabond project. It's just right now I got to really focus on my glass and myself. And those are the focusing on yourself is the most important thing you can do as a artist, as an individual. I feel as it's going to make your work better.
Yeah, exactly. Hell yeah, brother. Well, thanks again for coming back on and kicking this new year
well,
off here
thanks
with this episode. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for having me on, Jason, and I look forward to getting together and hanging out soon.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Yeah, I wanted to come out last year, bro, and it was like right in the middle of my divorce, so it wasn't happening.
No stress. Yeah, anytime you want to come up to Portland, you got shop space.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's a tiny shop, but it works. So.
Hey, man. I will be there for sure. I appreciate you. And hang on after I say goodbye off the air here. We'll say our goodbyes later here in a second.
Oh, sounds groovy.
All right, cool. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode and interview and chat with JD here. Definitely make sure you go out there and check out this video, because it is amazing. And it's not as long and drawn out as per se, but it's definitely short and sweet, and it covers a lot of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll check you out on the next episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. You guys take it easy. See ya. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this chat we just had with JD. And this will be kind of a new format I'm doing with these shows, talking out after the interview and kind of some takeaways I had. And bringing JD back on was something that him and I have been putting together now for about 6 months, just timing-wise, until he got settled in and I got settled in my new space. And definitely it was awesome to kick him off here for the first episode of the year. And, we covered a lot of stuff just in terms of like current stuff in the industry and, all that kind of jazz. And I think the biggest takeaway that I got out of this interview myself is that the pipe or the glass that we're making isn't who we are. It doesn't define us. We put our emotion and our expression into that piece, but the things outside of our studio is who we are. Our glass is our expression, but our life and our livelihood and things that we enjoy and are passionate about outside of glass is outside of our studio. And I think it's so important to make sure that you're not just in your shop all the time, that you get out and you go do things. And I preach this a ton of times on here, because what we're doing for a living allows us, not only financially, but also time management wise and time freedom, to get the fuck out and go do things, go travel, go see your friends, go have a drink, go whatever it is that you want to do. You have the ability to go do that. And if you need to schedule block time out to go do that kind of stuff, then schedule out your time. If you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or you're married and stuff and you need to schedule out date time and stuff, it's important that you have that stuff scheduled out in your life. And it sounds kind of crazy that you may have to schedule date time, but it's the reality sometimes of how we are as we get busy, especially as we get older and we start growing our families and, kids and scheduling. It's all crazy. You have to schedule out your life. And it's just important to do that. And, we got into the trade show talk and, kind of curious to see how 2018 kind of pans out with the continuation of all the trade shows and stuff. And maybe as 2019, 2020 comes around, it'll begin to slow down. Maybe they'll become aware that they're ruining things. Maybe I don't. Who knows? It's just going to be interesting to see. But I definitely recommend checking out this his film that he did. It's really amazing. And for me, besides just the cinematic aspect of it, because it's really well done and shot wise, and it's something I appreciate having done film and currently doing some filming right now for my online courses and what have you. But just the interviews and the conversations that you hear, the eloquence that comes out of the passion for what these artists that are on this documentary are talking about. There's so many one-liners, quotes and stuff that are on there that it's gonna. I hope it sticks with you and things that you actually will take notes on as you watch it. It's that good. And again, it's not a super long film, but it's just long enough to where it really captures the essence of this community and how fucking amazing we all are, and the opportunities that we have every single day that we get up and have a chance to go to our studio. And if you're a part-time glass artist or seasonal glass artist or whatever, it's still, you understand what I'm talking about, the ability just to go out there and create, even if it's once a week. If you have a full-time job and you're trying to continue to grow your glass business because you want to be a part of the full-time experience, it's also a lot of stress involved in it too, just to say. But so that's kind of what I want to wrap this up here. And as I get these wrap ups here going, they'll be obviously a little bit better in terms of what I'm trying to say, because I didn't take any notes in particular on this one. And what I'm going to start doing is just take a little bit of notes here and there, because this was a different type of interview. We didn't do our final, crash in the kiln round or whatever. It was kind of more of a follow up talk. But again, just remember that you are who you are. Your glass is not who you are. Your outside of your studio is who you are. If you're on social media and you're complaining about being broke and all that kind of stuff, all you're doing is putting out a negative thing out there and energy into your followers, and they see that. And for me personally, it's a huge turnoff. We do have to share stories that maybe we lost a loved one or our favorite pet or what have you. But if you're not successful or you're not having a good financial month or day or year or whatever it is, or your power's about to get shut off, going on social media and not necessarily complaining about it as a term to use, complaining, but sharing that kind of stuff, it isn't always a positive thing. It might make people think that you're more looking for free handouts. I'm trying to spit this out without sounding like a dick saying this, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like, you just, when you're out there and I'm not saying to paint a false painting or picture of who you are. I share my stories all the time on social media, good and bad, but the stuff that can be bad and actually hurt you in the long run are the little small things, like saying, oh my God, so-and-so left me, fuck them, this person isn't sending me my shit. There's all kind of things I see out there on a daily basis that drives me crazy. It makes me want to pull my hair out of my head sometimes. But I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. So when you're on social media, don't be a dick. Be grateful and share that gratefulness with what you have. Even if it's the fact that you have a roof over your head, or you have electricity in your house, you have a fresh, clean glass of water. The simple minute, that's a new word. It's like the fine-tuned and fine and minute mixed together. But what I'm saying, little small things that we just take for granted on a daily basis. It's easy to do. And if you just wake up every day and the first thing you think about are the things that you have in life, not the things that you don't have, it's going to make a huge difference. And I recommend highly that when you get up first thing in the day, don't go on your phone, don't turn on the fucking news. Maybe put on some of your favorite music and get up out of bed and be grateful for the things you have in life and think about it. Even say it out loud so you can actually hear it and not just think it in your head, but actually physically hear what you're grateful for. And that being said, I'm grateful for you listening to this and me rambling here. So, again, I hope you enjoyed this chit-chat with JD. We had a lot of fun conversation-wise. We went all over the place, and I think we covered some really important topics to really kick off this 2018 season and Season 4 as we go with the Wise Guy Radio Show. So until next time, don't forget to check out iTunes. If you have an iPhone, definitely with this new iPhone app, you can actually leave a review and a star review on your app for the podcast, and it helps us get exposure to iTunes, lets them know that the show is being listened to, and it also helps to put it out there for the rest of the world that is not in our industry to find and listen to and get an idea of what we're all about. And the more people that know about who we are and what we are, we can paint a different picture as well to them and let them understand that we're not just a bunch of drug addicts and vagabongs, to use JD's term for his film. We are a bunch of amazing, talented, smart, loving, kind individuals that have a purpose in life. So live that purpose. Do what you got to do. In the meantime, I'm going to get the fuck out of here, get this episode edited so you can be listening to it, which you're doing right now. And there you go. So until next time, thanks so much for tuning in to the Wise Guy Radio Show with JD Maplesden here, hanging out with me on the show. And we'll talk to you next time. Have a great night. Happy New Year again, 2018. Let's make this year a year of success. Talk to y'all soon. Peace. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.